Monthly inflation numbers for October are about to drop. They're, of course, being released live by the ABS. Joining me now is business reporter Edward Boyd. So, Ed, economists expecting underlying inflation to fall to 3.1% for the month, the annualised figure, but for the month.
Yeah, annualised figure for the month is expected to come in at 3.1%. That's the trimmed mean. But the number that we're going to get live from Reuters will be the headline inflation figure. And that's actually expected to increase month on month when compared to September up. It's meant to rise up in October very slightly to about 2.3%. The figures should be dropping any second now from the ABS, but they're obviously really important numbers that the Reserve Bank watches closely. And we'll hear from Michelle Bullock tomorrow night when she speaks at a CEDA economic event. I think it will be her last public speech of the year. So the figures have actually come in a bit lower than what the market was expecting. Monthly inflation, the weighted CPI year on year, has come in at 2.1%. So that's a little bit of a surprise. Inflation has actually fallen a little bit more than expected. It basically has stayed flat at the 2.1% number that it was at in September. So that's actually pretty good news. But having a look through these stats as well from Reuters, it shows here that the trim mean has actually increased, which is not a good sign. So in September, the trimmed mean, which is the figure that the RBA looks at, which strips out large rises and falls in prices of certain things in the CPI basket of goods, was 3.2%. This month, it's actually come in at 3.5%. So the annual rate of inflation on a trim mean basis has actually accelerated. So the Reserve Bank will be looking at that pretty closely as well. But really what we're seeing is inflation slowly moderating with a couple of speed bumps along the way, Tom. So remember as well, these are the monthly numbers. They're not a full reading of the CPI basket of goods. The Bureau of Statistics takes about 60 to 70% of the normal goods that they look at to make this assessment. So the quarterly figure is the one the RBA really cares about. And we have heard from Michelle Bullock previously when she made her cash rate decision earlier this month that the RBA wants to see one more CPI quarterly number. And the next quarterly number is going to come out on the 27th of January next year. So here's the monthly inflation indicator. You can see it really picked up to 8.4% in December 2022 on a monthly basis and has been on a slowly downwards trajectory there, but you can see there have been a few little bumps along the way. One of the big things that has kept, I'd suggest that's kept the monthly inflation figure flat during the month of October has been all those government energy rebates. We saw the energy rebates reducing inflation on a quarterly basis as well. Here's some of the other key statistics. You can see food prices basically remain stable at 3.3%. Clothing prices as well have actually come down. So they were accelerating almost 2% in September. They're only going up by 0.6% during October. But transportation costs, they are still looking pretty expensive for a lot of Australians out there. Housing costs have come down. Education costs have come down very slightly as well. So there's some good green arrows on there. There's a couple of red ones as well. But look, this is clearly important stats for the Reserve Bank. And the next cash rate call from Michelle Bullock will be in the second week of December, and it's the last board meeting of the year for the RBA before they have a break over Christmas and resume in February 2025.
Yeah, I guess it's the final month that some people will still be getting for the first time that energy rebate, given everyone gets a bill quarterly, so that would make some sense there. Just quickly, Ed, putting you on the spot, does this shift the needle at all on the next rate cut? It seems a bit mixed. Obviously, the trim mean going up a bit doesn't help, so we're just still in a bit of a holding pattern.
I think the RBA, they've said quite a few times now, the monthly indicator is an indicator. They don't read too closely into the monthly figures. Clearly, the trim mean going up slightly is a bit of an issue, but we'll get a better reading on the trim mean on the 27th of January when we get the December quarter for inflation. So that's what I'd say, Tom.
Just the stock market, meanwhile, amongst all this, it's close to record highs thanks to banks and retail stocks. Yeah,
let's just bring up a live chart for the ASX 200 because this will give us an idea of what the markets think of the figures which were just dropped. The market was up about 0.58% before the numbers came out. It's up about 0.5% still, really close to trading at all-time record highs. I think we're only about 20 or 30 points off the all-time record set earlier this week. Retailers have had a good day on the market. Harvey Norman's reported some strong sales results. They've got their annual general meeting happening right now. We've also seen some good results from Flight Centre as well. well. And the Aussie dollar, it has been in decline since Donald Trump announced his new tariffs on goods from both China, Mexico and Canada. So $1 is currently buying about 64.71 US cents, Tom.